Hi, David Wright here, and a big thank you to everybody that's wished me congratulations for passing the motorbike test. Yeah, it was a big achievement for me, and I'll tell you the reason why. It's a dream of mine for 20 years now. 22, 23 years ago when I first moved to Spain, I did get a motorbike here. You can drive a 125cc motorbike on a normal car driving license in Spain without any experience at all, as long as you've got more than 3 years experience on a car. So I bought a 125cc bike, and you're allowed to drive that on a motorway with passengers, without air plates, whatever you like. It's pretty crazy, really, and I'm surprised I didn't kill myself. But I've been driving that bike for 20 odd years here, and after about 3 or 4 years in, I wanted to get a bigger bike license here. Now, Spain has got one of the strictest rules in the world for riding motorbikes. The tests are very intense here and very difficult, and so this is a quick rundown of how it works here. There are 3 basic tests you need to do when you want to get a motorbike license in Spain, and all of these tests can only be done at the moment in Spanish. So that's really one of the reasons I didn't do it to begin with, because they keep saying next year you're going to do it in English, but that never came. So last year, well, about 5 years ago, I actually enrolled in a school, paid a deposit, and after the first hour's lessons, I realized that I was way out of my depth with the Spanish side of it. So I quit straight away. Not actually quit, but I just put it on hold, and it was something I was going to go back to when my Spanish improved. Well, I think my Spanish is pretty good now, but even so, I've struggled a little bit, and here's how it works. So you need to pass a medical to begin with, and then you have to enroll in a classes in a school. You can't put an L plates on a car or motorbike here and just go and have lessons or get someone to help teach you. You have to enroll in a school, and that I paid 180 euros for. I think it was 187 euros, and you have to go to classes about 3 times a week. That includes all the lectures and things like that, and then you practice for the exam. Now, it's a theory test which is done under very, very strict conditions in an official building in Almeria City. Well, for me, it was Almeria City, and I went with 40 other people. Now, you can't sit this exam until your instructor at the college thinks you're ready to, and you go through practice sessions and practice exams in the class. This is about the highway code mostly, and motorbike rules and regulations. And then once you're getting around 95% pass rate in the mock exams, he puts you in for the main test. So I was getting around 95, 96, and he put me in for the theory test. 40 odd people went for the exam in my group, and I sat down at the desk. It's a touchscreen desk, and you have 20 questions to answer. These are all multiple choice questions, but there's only 20 questions, but they are taken from a pool of 850 questions. Now, you only allowed 2 questions wrong, and so that was it. And there was a time limit on it on this as well. I think it's 25 minutes. So I went to the exam, and afterwards I thought I'd done okay, and I got 2 wrong, so that's a fail. So a month later I did loads more practicing. I put in for the exam again, and another fail. That's 2 questions wrong again. They don't tell you what you got wrong. So I did some really intense studying for it, and thought I was getting around 98% pass rate in the mock exams. Went for the exam and failed yet again, 2 questions wrong. Really frustrated the 3rd time around, as you can imagine. And you're only allowed to fail twice. So the 3rd time I had to reapply it to the school, pay another 187 euros, whatever it was, to join the school. Had some more lessons, and studied really, really hard. I just couldn't understand why I failed. I was sure I was going to pass. Anyway, it's 4th time lucky I did pass. I got 100%, no mistakes at all. I passed on that, so very, very pleased with passing the theory. After the theory exam, you're allowed to then go on the track tests. Now, there's 2 tests. This is done on an off-piste track, and it's a tarmac area with some 2 test areas, and one's with a load of cones. You have to do a slow speed test. So you're driving around these cones at slow speed, not allowed to put your foot down, not allowed to touch, and you have to stay within these designated white and yellow lines. And at the end of that test, there's a speed bit. We have to speed up and stop, an emergency stop in a square box. Fairly straightforward. Been driving for 20 years, didn't think it was a problem, but it took me about 6 weeks to get the hang of that and do it properly. Then after that, there is a speed slalom test where you have to do a similar test, but it's within 25 seconds, and that's quite something to get it down to 25 seconds. The first couple of times I was doing it around the 30 mark, so to try and knock off 5 seconds was quite difficult. After about 8 lessons, which obviously you have to pay for, the €27 a time, I managed to get it in 25 seconds. So then my teacher put me through for the exam. You go to the official exam center along with about 100 other people, and it was all done under more strict conditions. If you just put your foot down once or touch a cone once, you're out. That's it. You don't get another chance to do the next part or anything like that. You're out. One girl came off the start line and stalled the motorbike straight off the start line. She was a complete fail straight away. They don't mess around. If you're not wearing the proper protection, no gloves, full protective jacket and trousers and proper boots, as soon as you start, if they see that you haven't got something, they won't tell you. But once they start off that start line, if one guy had trainers on, as soon as they started, they put a red flag up. He said, "What's wrong?" And she got trainers on, instant fail. So you paid for the test. Very, very strict conditions indeed. So yeah, so I passed that first time round. Very, very happy with that. And then on to the third one. So the third part of the test is a street test, like a driving license for a car. You go around and do with an examiner, but this they do with the examiner following you in a car. Now you have to have lessons for this. Normally you need to have at least 3 lessons. I ended up having 9. I had lots of mistakes, lots of faults with 20 odd years of driving here, so it took me a little bit longer. And so the instructor on the lessons follows you in a car with a headphone set in on your crash helmet, telling you to turn left, turn right, and basically chewing you up about all the little mistakes you're making along the way, as well as you trying to follow the rules and regulations. Now, this is also in heavy traffic in the city, and also it's done on the motorway as well. There is a part on the motorway where you have to drive at a minimum speed of 115 miles an hour, 120 kilometers an hour, I should say. You need to get as close to that 120 as you can. If you're a couple over, a couple under, that's about right. There are some, it's quite difficult as well listening to instruction when you're on a motorway doing that sort of speed with the wind and heavy lorries, things like that. So very, very daunting indeed. So yeah, come examination day, which was for me yesterday, we had an order. There was 4 people from my school all going for their A2 motorbike test. And all these tests, by the way, are done on a 400cc motorbike. That's compulsory. It needs to be at least a 400cc bike. And so yeah, it took some getting used to that bike to begin with. Anyway, so on my test day, we had arranged who was going to go first. I said I'll go first. The other 3 people on my test were all a lot younger than me, and they'd all failed twice before. One guy had failed 3 times. This was his 4th time round. He'd spent over €2,000 in lessons, and he was in his late 20s, I think. Anyway, so yeah, when we got to the exam place, the examiner was there, and the air driving teacher who's been training us was driving the car. He sits there, just follows the motorbike. The instructor, the examiner sits in the passenger seat with his laptop, marking you and telling you directions through the headphone set. Some of the other motorcyclists sit in the back seat. So yeah, so we had the order. When we got there, he said, "Who's going first?" And I said, "It's me." And he said, "I'll tell you who's going first." And he changed the order. So I thought, yeah, okay, that's a good start straight away. So the order was reversed, and I was the last one to go through it. And then each of the other 3 all passed with flying colours. They passed, so it was down to me. So the pressure's really on me now. And out we go, and I was near Almeria Airport, and then I was on the motorway, and also in Almeria City, going through the town as well. So very, very nervous, very, very intense, and lots of people in town, and there was a lot of lorries on the motorway as well. So I was just trying to do my best. When we got back to the where we started from, he just asked you to pull over the motorbike and turn everything off, and then the instructor came over and told me that I had passed. So I was absolutely over the moon with that. Now that means that I can now go and buy a bigger motorbike. I've already done that. I've already put down the deposit yesterday afternoon. I've got to wait for them to put the all the paperwork on the bike. It's a brand new bike. I'll upload a picture here in a minute, or here, so you can see. And yeah, I should pick that up in about 10 days time. I'm having some extras put on it, really lovely. So I'm happy about that. I'm really pleased with that. Now when you get the A2 license, it's a provisional, so they send you the copy. You get a written authorization to drive the bike for 3 months, I think it's valid for. Then the new driving license should be in the post to me within that time. Now, that entitles me to drive a certain size of motorbike. The bike I'm buying is a 700cc bike. If you want anything bigger than that, it has to be limited depending on the horsepower of the bike for 2 years. So I can't ride anything much bigger than that for 2 years unless it's limited on the horsepower until I pass the A test. Now, the way that works is you only need to go a time period of 2 years, and then after 2 years I have to go into the school again and sit through 4 hours of lectures on bigger motorbikes, and then go out on a road course. It's just going following an instructor on a 4-hour trip on the Spanish roads, mostly on motorways at high speeds. And then at the end of that, it's an automatic pass. It gives you a certificate. You don't have to take an actual test or an exam. You just have to complete the course. Once you've completed the course, you get your full A motorbike license, and you can go and buy it and ride all motorbikes, sidecars, without any restrictions. So yeah, so that's it in Spain. And by the way, all of this is done in Spanish. There's no chance of doing it in English at all. I was told yesterday that they are bringing into some areas in the new year that the theory test will be available in other languages, but the problem is at the moment all the books, all the study materials only in Spanish, so it's going to be very difficult to translate it. And even if you did the theory test in Spanish, in English or whatever language you like, when you do the other test, the instructors, the examiners at the test center all speak Spanish, so you're going to have to learn in Spanish anyway. And when you take the road test, the examiner will only do it, there isn't anywhere that I know that does it in English or any other languages. It's only done here in Spain in the national language, which is Spanish. So yeah, if your Spanish isn't that good, then you're going to struggle a little bit, as I did, but there's always a way. You know, you just have to keep at it. I downloaded lots of apps. I learned specific words related to what I wanted to do, and I made lots of mistakes along the way, but I finally got there. It's taken me 11.5 months, almost a year to the day to do it. As I say, I failed 4 times the theory. I passed that on the 4th time. I also passed the track slalom test first time, and now the main test first time. So really, really pleased, on cloud 9 at the moment, and I can't wait to get my new motorbike. Thanks very much everyone that's helped me, and I'll leave a link below this video to all the information that you can access, books, and some tips that I can give you if you're thinking about taking a motorbike test here in Spain.